Saddleback, guys. All right, let's get something out of the way right up top. I have been a big fan of Saddleback leather for a decade and change. My first really high quality leather briefcase was the classic 2-rivet briefcase, which I purchased my junior year in college after over a year of research and, more importantly, a year of saving up the money. I still have that briefcase, I still love it. It has traveled with me all over the country and on numerous trips to Europe and Central America. Check out Nick's video on the bag somewhere here, there, wherever the link is. My brother owns a Saddleback briefcase. I've used their wallets for years. I bought my wife and mother-in-law purses from Love 41, the company's women-focused brand. I've always loved the rugged, adventurous aesthetic of these bags. The romance of a bag that looks as much at home on a New York City street as it would in the tent of Percy Fawcett on his cartographic expeditions is something I've always been an absolute sucker for. The crowdsourced photos of beautifully aged, roughed up leather in exotic locales, which have graced Saddleback's website for years, is irresistible to the hopeless romantic. I never stood a chance. Now, practically, their bags can sometimes be a bit lacking. They're heavy. This one's a little bit hard to open on the go. The buckles and rings are really not that quiet, and it's a little bit cumbersome overall. But despite all that, I still found myself utterly charmed by the old world allure of the flight bag. Intended for the use of pilots, the flight bag features a Gladstone style opening, 2 exterior pockets, and a large sort of interior compartment with false bottom for hiding cash or personal documents when traveling, and a thin dividing flap intended to carry up to a 15-inch laptop, along with various other daily essentials. It's a bit smaller than a large classic briefcase and a bit bigger than, say, the thin pocket briefcase. In some ways, stylistically at least, it's a bit of an amalgamation of the two. The interior of the bag is lined with a nubuck pigskin, and there are no interior pockets apart from that laptop flap. This is a bit of a learning curve for me, having been so used to the internal pouches on the classic briefcase, but the external pockets are of purely sufficient size to carry charging cables and batteries and external hard drives and other daily essentials. There are 2 slim pockets formed by the gap caused by the manner in which that the outer pockets are sewn onto the front of the bag. So you got these nice little kind of pouches here you can stick stuff in, like so. Also, like the rest of Saddleback's bags, it is over-engineered and overbuilt, utilizing 3/16 stainless steel hardware throughout, brass rivets in key stress areas, and UV-resistant polyester thread. Overall, it's more than a sufficient amount of space to carry what you need for the day, and then some. As with most Saddleback bags, the less you carry, the better, as these bags are not lightweight in any way. This beast weighs in at about 6 pounds empty. Like all of Saddleback's bags, the flight bag is made from fully chrome-tanned leather, which comes from North American hides sourced from Lafargue Tannery in Leon, Mexico. It is currently available in tobacco, dark coffee, chestnut, and black. With regards to tanning, this is a point which I will only briefly speak on because, frankly, I'm tired of talking about it. But Saddleback uses mostly chrome-tanned leather. Does that mean it's not good quality? No, it doesn't. Does that mean it should cost less money? No, it doesn't. There are trade-offs between veg tan and chrome tan leather in terms of how the leather feels, ages, and can be used. There's high quality chrome tan leather and there's low quality chrome tan leather. Veg tan leather generally tends to be of a higher quality from the get-go. It also tends to age very nicely, whereas chrome tan leather is more uniform, costs less to make, and tends to stand up a bit better to water and general abuse. Both kinds of leather can be great, but all I will say here is when I was hiking in Costa Rica with my classic 2-rivet bag and we were swamped by torrential downpour, I was really, really happy that that bag wasn't made of veg tan leather, because veg tan leather, when it gets exposed to water, can really be affected and end up with this sort of weird, bubbly, dimpled sort of finish that sometimes goes away and sometimes doesn't. The leather feels uniform and solid like all other leather from Saddleback, which I've personally handled. With that said, arguably the most controversial trait of any Saddleback bag is gonna be the unfinished edges. Simple truth of the matter is that at this price point, $629 as of the time of filming, there are other extremely well-made leather bags available which do have finished edges, be it, painted, burnished, rolled, etc. The presence of unfinished edges has never personally bothered me on these bags, and if anything, felt in line with the overall sort of rugged design language which Saddleback is known for. By and large, the edges on the flight bag are relatively clean and show nice, fully tanned leather with a mostly tight grain structure. The exception to that on my bag specifically is on one of the pocket straps, which with more and more use has begun to show a little bit more fuzziness and emphasize the wrinkles that naturally appear with time. Now, each bag is going to be slightly different as the grain structure of each bag is gonna vary slightly. It's just a part of the natural selection process of leather. In no way is this a deal breaker, but as prices continue to creep higher and higher over the years, I feel like Saddleback may need to either rethink this design detail or become much more stringent in the evaluation of the grain and quality, particularly in these areas of high wear. But in terms of build quality, everything is up to the standard that I've come to expect from Saddleback. The stitching is clean and even, and the application of the various components like the pockets and straps and buckles is all nice and straight and uniform and clean. Crucially, the Gladstone opening is really straight and perfectly aligned. So when you actually open it and then close it again, it doesn't get all kind of skewed, which I have had happen on other Gladstone bags that I've owned in the past. This is due to the internal bars which form that opening, which feel nice and sturdy and not likely to be bent if you're, shoving it under the seat in front of you on a plane or in the overhead compartment or something like that. It feels like it was assembled with skill and care. Most importantly, it feels like it will be able to withstand a reasonable or even moderately unreasonable amount of use and abuse. So the design. It's got a distinct, antiquated aesthetic that makes the flight bag absolutely beautiful and unique. I mean, come on, just look at it. It's so freaking cool looking, right? This is what you want a leather bag to look like when you think of, old, antiquated, adventurous bags. I mean, it's just freaking awesome. Honestly, as much as I love the 2-rivet I'll have that bag until I die, I almost think this is an even slightly more attractive looking bag. I mean, it's so friggin' cool. Come on. Construction quality, it's well built and uses high quality leather, high quality components, the thread, the hardware. I mean, it's all really solid stuff. You just, this is what you expect from Saddleback and it doesn't let you down. Also, the size of the bag is great for EDC. It's not too big, it's not too small. It just gives you enough, room for it to fit what you need, but constrains you so that you don't put too much stuff in the bag. Frankly, I find that, with my larger bags, if I have the room in the bag, I'm gonna fill it with stuff, right? And I end up carrying a bunch of crap that I don't need with me on a daily basis. So, this gives you just enough room to carry what you need without too much excess. And again, it's good because it's ultimately pretty heavy, which we'll get to in the cons. Finally, branding on this bag is minimal, which is great because on some of the other Saddleback bags, you can see the Saddleback logo is on the front of the bag, which some people don't like. On the front of this bag, all you have is that little blue logo. As far as the cons, as I said, first thing and foremost, the weight. It's 6 pounds. It's a heavy bag, right? And that's before you put in your daily essentials, your computer, books, charging cables, a camera, you name it. With all that stuff at the end of the day, you're gonna feel this in your back. Now, the size is good for everyday carry, but it's not a great travel briefcase, which is kind of what it's marketed as, being a flight bag. It's just a little bit too small, in my opinion, for multi-day trips. A big gripe that I personally had with it was that internal laptop sleeve, which is really just kind of loose and floppy. Not great, doesn't really hold an expensive laptop perfectly in place. And then of course, there's the price. At $629, there are a number of competing companies out there that offer similar functionality and similar quality for the same or less. All of this brings us back to this idea of practicality, right? This is where we wade into the swamp of personal preference. What ultimately do you prioritize? Do you want a hyper-efficient, compartmentalized, bag with a spot for every single cable, connector, or various EDC item that you might need throughout the day? Do you want something lightweight with a small footprint? Well, then this probably isn't the right bag for you. Alternatively, if you want a bag which is distinct in its design, is robustly built and over-engineered, and is just visually striking, then this might be just the bag for you. The fact is, for many of us, aesthetics matter, right? How a product makes us feel matters. And the way that feeling is inspired is going to be different for different people. And as much as reviews such as this have a tendency to break things down into the most nuts and bolts terms, the emotional element, which informs so many purchases, shouldn't be dismissed. Personally, I have plenty of options that I can choose from in terms of briefcases and bags to carry on a daily basis. Some of them are lighter, some of them fit more stuff. Despite whatever pros and cons, I find myself going for this bag more often than not. The design of this bag is just so enchanting. I mean, it's just so damn cool looking. It isn't perfect, sure. The truth is, there's no such thing as the perfect bag. It's certainly on the heavy side and a touch small to be truly versatile as a travel bag. It also happens to be one of the most beautiful and evocative leather bag designs I've seen, well, since the classic briefcase captured my imagination over a decade ago. It's a romantic bag from a romantic company. The reality is that despite the exotic imaging on Saddleback's website, most of us will never hike into the jungle with these bags strapped to our sides. We will never journal our adventurous findings of the day inside a canvas tent pitched with scavenged branches and dimly lit by an oil lamp. Sure, some will travel with these bags and embark on magnificent adventures with them, the scars of many miles carved into the chrome-tanned hide. Most will not. No, the majority of us will bring these bags to and from work, either in the front seat of our cars or sitting on our laps on the subway. But that makes them no less steadfast companions. And in the briefest moments, when we look over the rim of our laptops with weary eyes to see that beautiful sculpture of leather and utility, maybe that moment of fantasy is enough to sustain us. To truly enjoy the beauty of a thing, with all the possibilities and potential it contains, basking in an imaginative moment, dreaming of an adventure yet to be embarked upon. Otherwise, what's the point? That does it for my review of Saddleback's flight bag. What do you guys think? Am I being too sappy, too poetic, or do you get it? I think they're awesome. Something about them just hits me, right? Maybe that's not you. Let us know in the comments below. Otherwise, make sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for more reviews on boots, bags, jackets, denim, whatever cool stuff we come across.